Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm excited to be talking to you about the season finale, Daryl Dixon, the Book of Carol. What a beautiful episode. I thought the way that they wrapped this season up was really nicely done. Um and I'll get into that in just a second, but before I do, I want to warn you that there will be spoilers. So if you haven't watched the episode, I highly recommend you going and checking it out. And um this episode was very much about saying goodbye, and there was that through line throughout the entire episode, and um I loved the way it set some of these goodbyes up in a way that was very, very emotional. And a lot of things obviously happen. We kind of pick up right where we left off. Jacinta has plans. She still believes that the kid is special and can save them. And it's unfortunate that she still believes this. And I'm kind of, some things happen in the end, but before I don't want to jump too far ahead. But I love what they did here with her and Anna. Anna, we saw last week, help Daryl get some fuel, help Daryl get away with the boy. You see her kind of going along with this idea of getting to the kid and the plane, and I love the flashback of Anna and the boy, Laurent, which was a clue, obviously, that she had no interest in leading them leading them to the plane. Um, and Anna is a hero of, Anna and Carol, I think, are the heroes of this episode. And I loved how they wrapped Anna's story up. I'm sad that Anna died, but kudos to her leading Jacinta and her crew into where the Walking Dead are. And in doing that, Jacinta got bit, and but they are at the place where the plane is, um and we see that towards the end, Ash and Laurent get away. It's understood that Carol will go with them, and she does get on the plane, and then she kind of gets out of the plane and becomes a hero, and uh shoots the car that is coming straight at them as they're trying to get in the air. And so um it's it, it- it's quite the scene. Daryl is trying to do what he can to get them to safety, to get Laurent and Ash up, and Carol. He thinks Carol's in there, up in the air. And Carol stays behind and with Daryl, and it's kind of cool. And I thought it was great. I really did. I did think that everything, the way that it kind of everything kind of tied together. Um, a lot of things happen in this episode. Cadron and Daryl, there's a scene with them, and he actually finds out the truth about his brother and who actually killed him. And there's a Judith and Ezekiel mention. Carol processes her grief with Daryl about Sophia and Lizzie and Henry. Like it just is just wild to me how much loss these characters have experienced. And 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 it's kind of interesting because um you would think that in the writing that they would explore grief and loss, and how do people deal with this stuff. And I just like what they did in this season, because it's real. And people have PTSD. They go through PTSD, and imagine losing your child, right? There's no word for that. And I love that they brought this into the forefront of the story, losing a child and what that does to someone, and how they react and how they deal or don't deal with it. Uh, and in not dealing with it, that's how they're dealing with it. And I just really appreciated it as someone who really, really like loves these characters. I love that they went there in this season. And So kudos to the writing team for doing that, the producers for going deep into the grief and the loss and the PTSD that some of our beloved characters have gone through. Daryl too, like I love that. As weird as that last section of the episode was, it felt a little disjointed to me a little bit, just a little. After Ash and Laurent get away, and Daryl and Carol, they kind of get with Cadron, and it just felt a little just disjointed to me. I don't know how you felt about it, but I felt like it was a little disjointed. But I did like what I loved about that sequence inside of the tunnel is they run into this guano. It's kind of like a hallucinogen, and the people that are in there, Daryl, Cadron, Carol mainly, and the two random people that kind of come into play are in there in the tunnel. They're trying to get to England, and I love what happens with the idea of the hallucination, right? So the crew starts hallucinating, um, and in this hallucination, we get to see Carol process and see her daughter before she turned, which is one thing that she mentioned when she was talking to Daryl about Sophia. And then we see Daryl with Isabel, like he's hallucinating and he sees Isabel, and it's such a beautiful. Both of those scenes were just so beautiful, and I loved it. It was just like saying goodbye. Like this is basically what this episode was about: is saying goodbye. The idea of this human emotion being in the midst of this world, where the dead are just where the dead are. And I just love how they did this, and kudos to them on that. And it ends with Carol and Daryl getting some closure. Daryl with Isabel and his relationship with her and the loss, and Carol with Sophia and the loss that she experience there. And again, just wrapping that that through line in the story really, really well. And I loved it. So um yeah, so overall this episode was the season finale was great. And I don't know what season 3 is gonna amount to. I'm kind of excited because the way that it ends is with these two characters together, and I feel like that was the right call. I really wasn't liking how Daryl was going to be left behind and Carol was going to be going with Ash and Laurent back to the Commonwealth, and I was just like happy to see that Carol kind of stayed behind, because those two should be together, and they should try and find a way to get back home. And so Anna's our hero. uh Jacinta kills herself after she sees Ash and Laurent get away. Carol stays behind with Daryl. The adventure continues. Cadron finds out the truth about his brother, um, the death of his brother. He kind of runs off in the tunnel. He stabs. He's hallucinating, right? So he's thinking he sees his brother, and he's thinking that Daryl did kill his brother, and so it's a kind of a mess of a scene. But he ends up just running off, so we don't know what happens to him. Um, and so I just felt like this they it's hard to wrap a season like this, and so what do you do, and how do you keep going? How do you keep telling the story? And so I love that they did what they did here. I give this episode a 7.5 out of a 10. And yeah, let me know what you guys think of the episode, and we'll talk to you soon.